Heck of a night last night. Elon Musk hosted Donald Trump for a Spaces conversation between the two of them. 1.3 million concurrent listeners. And right now, the number stands around 24 million people who watched. And it's only been, well, it's been less than 12 hours because they concluded their conversation just before 11. Now, I must say, my favorite part was the end where Donald Trump and Elon Musk are basically doing a you hang up. No, you hang up. You hang up. No, you hang up. Donald Trump was like, well, to wrap it up here, I just say thank you and this, that, or otherwise. And then Elon goes, yeah, it's actually really interesting. You're doing a great job on these things. And then Trump was like, well, yes, of course. And they kind of just kept going. I think Trump was trying to get out of there. But of course, Democrats and the media are furious. They're furious. Kamala Harris says that Elon Musk is just a lackey for Donald Trump. And this is exactly what Trump's going to bring you. A billionaire suckling up to another billionaire because they're for the rich, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. Well, Kamala Harris famously stole Donald Trump's policy of no tax on tips, despite being the tie-breaking vote to enforce taxation on tips. It's a bit hypocritical. But Kamala's pretty smart in having no policies and having the smartest thing Kamala did, I'll tell you, is getting the entirety of the corporate press to say good things about her all at the exact same time, despite saying bad things about her just before this. That's where we're currently at. Now, the interview with Donald Trump, or I should say conversation, was delayed by about 40 minutes or more because of a DDoS attack, says Elon Musk. That's a distributed denial of service attack. Now, some on the left are saying, no way, he's just bad at this. I don't believe it. DDoS makes a lot of sense considering a Trump campaign HQ office was burglarized, that Trump campaign documents were hacked and distributed to the press. My understanding is the press, these journalists are saying they're not going to publish these documents. Laura Trump blames the deep state for such a thing. Yeah, well, I mean, sure. Elements within the government certainly don't like Donald Trump. They have stated as such. I mean, I'm not exaggerating. They said they might flee the country if he wins. But the media absolutely hates Donald Trump. And I don't know what this is. You've got establishment control structures that just want people to sit down, shut up, eat your chicken nuggets, and let us run the show. And then you've got, I don't know, democracy, where people are paying attention to what's going on and they're getting upset about it and they're demanding real leadership based on what is actually happening in this world. It's a hard thing to break through, but we'll talk about that. And a couple other stories. J.D. Vance was asked, is Kamala Harris black? It's a ridiculous question. Meanwhile, Kamala Harris is getting the praise of all praise by the media. And the real story there that I want to get into is it's fake. Everything's fake. It's all fake. Figure it out for yourselves and good luck. And lastly, my friends, we got to talk about ray gun at the Olympics. Some people are speculating that the ray gun Olympic breakdancer, which you may have seen, who did that fake routine, botched the whole thing so that she could claim misogyny and then write scientific journals about how it's just misogyny and they don't like her moves. I think she may have sabotaged the Olympic routine because there are a lot of people in street culture that don't want to see their movement corporatized. Skateboarding suffers much the same thing. So this is a chance to actually ruin breakdancing. I think that's what she did. Reportedly, I'm hearing now that breakdancing may be out. They may be throwing it out of the Olympics because of how bad things were and how they were mocked over this. So we'll talk about everything, my friends. We'll start with the Elon Musk, Donald Trump conversation. Before we get started, head over to castbrew.com and buy Cast Brew coffee. This show is brought to you by our coffee company, Cast Brew. People who listen to podcasts love a nice cup of coffee, and we have the best. Appalachian Nights sells like hotcakes because it is so delicious. Ian's Graphene Dream, of course, has been taking the audience by storm. People really do enjoy that one's low acidity, and many people have said that it's better on their gut. I suppose that's why Ian wanted to make a low acidity coffee. So castbrew.com to support the show. Also, head over to timcast.com, click join us to become a member. My friends, today I am going to show you the fake news. I'm going to show you the things that Trump got wrong too. And I'll tell you, I often try to be like, look, there are things we're critical of Donald Trump over. John Bolton, I can scream that one 800,000 times. But the media does it enough, don't they? When they lie, cheat, and steal. And so the difficulty is in trying to be balanced is saying, look, there are things that the Republicans and Trump do that are not good because nobody's perfect. And we got to call them out to make sure we get better leadership. But the media just lies about everything. I'm going to show you those media lies. We're going to talk about the lies in the Democratic Party and how they're spinning this. and how these manipulations benefit them politically and are a detriment to you. If you think that's important and you think we do a good job, go to timcast.com, click join us. But for $10 a month, you can support this show and the work we do in trying to build culture and call out the lies and manipulations to the best of our abilities. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, we have this tweet from Elon Musk up just in the early hours of this morning. Elon says combined views of the conversation with real Donald Trump and subsequent discussion by other accounts is now around 1 billion. 1 billion views. That does not mean that 1 billion people listen to this interview or this conversation. Right now, I think the number is probably closer to like 24 million. I'm going to hit refresh. It's probably going to go up to about 25. Everybody wants to hear this. X, the official corporate account, says between 7:47 p.m. and 10:47 p.m. at Eastern, President Trump's Spaces post received 73 million views. During the same period, there were 4 million posts about Elon and Trump's conversation on X, generating a total of 998 million views. Of course, that has actually gone up in the past hours and is now over 1 billion. The post from Elon himself has 14.2 million. So there you go. You can clearly see this. Now, here's the official post from Donald Trump. When I pulled this up for this doing show pre-production, 23.3 million had tuned in to a 3-hour show. Mind you, the first hour is just like doot, doot, boop, boop, doot, boop, boop kind of music. But let's refresh and see where we're currently at. As of right now, 23.7 million people have listened to the interview/conversation between Donald Trump and Elon Musk, to about 175 million people who viewed the post itself. Massive numbers, but I will say, my friends, you know, as many people have pointed out, they're like, congratulations on reinventing radio. Well, fair point. You know, back in the day when, you know, pre-television, when it was just radio, you'd get around the same amount of viewers, maybe even more, but there were no other mediums and you didn't need the massive server space. What's really interesting about this is that with radio, you could just broadcast out the signal and anyone could just receive it and listen. But the viewership numbers were always just estimates. Here's who we think may have been listening. We don't know. This was actually all of the people joining in the space with Elon and Donald Trump. But it is admittedly kind of funny. An audio broadcast suffering distributed denial of service technical difficulties. From Mediaite, Laura Trump blames deep state for campaign hack and Musk-Trump interview glitch. Glitch? All right. Well, let's take a look. Cointelegraph has the story here. Musk claims X hit by massive DDoS attack delaying Trump interview. The live stream ended up kicking off 30 minutes after the scheduled start, with the pair discussing immigration and the attempt on Trump's life. I think Occam's razor would suggest that it was a distributed denial of service attack, and I'll tell you why. Timcast IRL has been DDoS'd before as well. This is really interesting. In the early life of Timcast IRL, people had found somehow our IP address and attacked our own internet, not YouTube or anything, so that we couldn't send out signal. They were attacking us. And it worked. We kept getting cut off. We hired security people. We built a cybersecurity, but that was pretty crazy. Who would do that? We're just a podcast. Now, what do you think about Elon Musk and Donald Trump having this conversation? The Democrats were angry it was happening. They were saying that, you know, he's a lackey for the rich guy. They were even calling for Elon Musk's arrest. Here we go. An ex-Twitter boss says, issue an arrest warrant for Elon Musk. The EU threatened Elon Musk with a letter saying, do not have this conversation. We're coming after you. And so then people come out on the left and they're like, no, Elon's just stupid. Yeah, look, man, shout out to Kyle Kalinske. I don't know when he got so angry, but he said Elon Musk was an idiot. And I'm just like, oh, Dunning-Kruger, I tell you. Dunning-Kruger, right? Stupid people don't know they're stupid. Smart people are full of doubt. So I often say, you know, I get a lot of things wrong. I don't know. I try my best. I think it's fair to say that I have a slightly above average prediction rating, and that is exemplified not by any political predictions, but by my capability to start and run a business. So when I look at someone like Elon Musk, who's the richest guy on the planet, I'm like, certainly that guy understands something Kyle Kulinski does not. To be fair, many people do not. Now, of course, Elon Musk comes from reportedly a wealthy family, but I don't think that ever actually is just the reason for someone's success. A lot of people come from rich families. Generational wealth lasts 3 generations before they go broke. So what does that mean? For Elon Musk to make it to where he is, certainly he must have some capabilities, right? Well, of course it is leftists who genuinely believe you cannot succeed. You can't do it. It's impossible. And it's because they're dumb. I really do think so. You know, my example is during Occupy Wall Street, in the early days, in the early stages, the sentiment from the occupiers was sympathy. Oh, Tim, you're a high school dropout. Your family was poor. They lost their home. You grew up in poverty, mixed race. You're the perfect example of a broken America. Where's your American dream, man? And then, despite the fact that I didn't even make any money, Time magazine writes about me and says Tim Pool's great. And what happens? The sentiment of the occupiers was Tim Pool is a white man who was born rich. They just make that up. My favorite thing now is they claim that everything we have here at Timcast is funded by right-wing billionaires, propping up despite the fact that no one actually likes any of the content. We have received 0 investment. 0. I won't accept it. And so this is what they say about Elon Musk, that he's too stupid. That's what Kyle Kulinski said. He's stupid. They're running these attack lines that it was a failure. It was technical problems. No, it was likely a distributed denial of service attack attempting to shut down the conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I will pause there and say, I give the conversation a 7 out of 10. Donald Trump talked a lot of the existing talking points he already has. I don't think that I've learned a whole lot. It was a fun conversation. As it got later in the night and Trump got more relaxed, more like a phone call, he started letting loose and it was a lot more fun and funnier. But so I'm not going to say it was like the greatest, most historical thing ever. It was great numbers, 1.3 million concurrent. Wow. I think the most we've ever done on Timcast IRL is just around 200,000. So that we're talking 6 times what we've ever gotten on our show with one of the largest consistent and average live audiences. I do think the largest live audience thing ever was like a guy jumping out of space to the earth or whatever, had like 4 million concurrents or whatever. But they try to act like Elon Musk is stupid when they attack him. And unfortunately, my friends, there are stupid people who eat this up. And that's why they vote the way they do. Now, with all due respect to Kyle Kulinski, I mean, he was a lot nicer in the past and more calm. He's certainly gotten a bit more angry, just attacking and just being really nasty on X. Oh, what can I say? I mean, I troll a bit, but I try not to be overtly nasty like that, though I did call Kamala an evil witch. She's Kamala Harris. Fine, I guess. I guess that was pretty nasty. But to say that Elon Musk is stupid, when he just hosted a record-breaking live stream, it was audio only, but still, I think is just absurd. It is absolutely absurd. These people can't see patterns well enough to build a system. It's all about conditional hypotheticals. You guys know the meme, right? You ask someone, if you didn't have breakfast yesterday, how would you have felt? And people of a moderate intelligence would say, I guess hungry. Some people might say, well, I usually don't eat breakfast, so I'd imagine I'd feel the same. But the incorrect answer is, but I did eat breakfast. When people can't understand conditional hypotheticals, it is allegedly, they say according to the meme, a sign of lower intelligence. But here's what it really breaks down. If I were to say a conditional hypothetical, if someone were to try and stop Donald Trump and Elon Musk from having this conversation, how might they do it? And if the response is, but they did have the conversation. Okay, I'm saying if someone wanted to, hypothetically, but he did have the conversation. It's the same thing. If you can't grasp hypotheticals, you can't build systems. I think this is indicative of leftists typically being of lower intelligence. Don't get me wrong. You have midwits, too. Midwits are slightly higher intelligence, but not high enough. They can sort of understand what's going on, but they can't see far enough. What I mean by this is someone who has the capability to see patterns to a great degree, that's one of the most rudimentary ways to explain it, is going to, and hypotheticals, as it were, will be able to build more successful systems. Because the question then becomes this for Elon Musk. When Elon Musk asks himself this question, if someone were to try and stop us from having this conversation, how might they do it? distributed denial of service, where you attack the platform with requests so that it can't process these and it shuts down, is the most likely means of doing it. Elon Musk then prepares for server expansion contingencies, but even that will take some time. This is why Elon Musk is successful. Understanding patterns, probability, and then making predictions. If you can predict the future, you will likely be more successful. And that's true. But for those of you that would like to understand what a DDoS is in simple terms, to explain how they made it so that for the first 40 minutes no one could hear what Donald Trump had to say, I give you this. Imagine that the oversized novelty germs are DDoS attacks. Each one is a request. And when they're all jammed through at the same time, this little door into the space with Donald Trump, they can't get in. Some of these oversized novelty germs might be you trying to get in, but they've jammed it up. Shout out to The Simpsons for the reference. Well, Laura Trump says it was the deep state. Maybe. It could have also been Ukraine. Seriously, we don't know. Maybe there will be some kind of forensic investigation so we can figure out who exactly tried to disrupt this. Certainly, it is plausible that there was no DDoS and it was the hug of death, we call it. I'll entertain you, my friends, two positions, and you are welcome to choose either one. The two positions are, so many people, wanted to hear Donald Trump speak that it overloaded X's servers, which were capable of handling upwards of 1.3 million at one moment. So many more that the whole thing shut down. I'll take it. By all means, you tell me Elon Musk screwed this one up, and I will say, wow, Elon didn't prepare for millions of concurrent viewers for a record-breaking stream. I can't believe so many people want to hear Donald Trump speak. The second is elements that do not want this conversation to happen attempted to disrupt the conversation through DDoS. Now, considering, my friends, that Elon already had the failure with the Ron DeSantis launch, and he said this, they tested a load of 8 million concurrents. Considering that he's already done that, and they knew this was going to be much, much bigger, I do not believe Elon Musk didn't prepare for this. That being said, considering the attacks, the threats of arrest, the EU saying, how dare you host Trump? The simple solution that makes the least amount of assumptions would simply be someone disrupted the conversation. Laura Trump thinks it's the deep state. They say Republican National Committee co-chair Laura Trump blamed the deep state for what she said was a massive effort to keep her father-in-law, former President Donald Trump, out of the White House, which includes giving adversaries like Iranian Trump campaign hackers a free pass. Laura Trump appeared on Fox News late Monday to speak with host Sean Hannity, who conflated two topics from the open: the Trump campaign's report that it was hacked over the weekend by Iran and streaming technical issues during Trump's Monday night interview on X with the platform's owner, Elon Musk. Musk blamed the problems on a distributed denial of service attack, suggesting a deliberate attempt to derail the stream. Sources within X told The Verge that there was a 99% chance Elon was lying about an attack. Let's pull this one up. Speaking to the RNC co-chair, Hannity began talking of the campaign hack. We are not dealing with amateurs here. He continued, now they have gone hard after Elon Musk tonight and are limiting the number of people that can see your father-in-law earlier tonight. The host also criticized the authoritarian move by the EU in its warning letter to Musk on Monday, reminding him of the bloc's rules against promoting harmful content. Although he did not detail who they were, Laura Trump ran with Hannity's setup, connecting the threads into a grander conspiracy against her father-in-law. Can I just pause real quick? Y'all don't get to say conspiracy. They accused Donald Trump falsely of being a Russian spy in his first term. Fake. They lied about the Burisma scandal. They lied about Donald Trump's involvement in the Ukraine scandal. They claimed that Joe Biden's quid pro quo, where he said at the Council on Foreign Relations on video, and you can watch the video, if he went to the president of Ukraine and said, if you don't fire Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor, you're not getting $1 billion loan guarantee, which he has no authority to do. They lied about all of it. Then they call this a conspiracy. Spare me. Now, we don't know exactly what happened, whether it was the deep state or otherwise. But the idea that a group of people, members of the U.S. intelligence agencies who have lied about Trump, accused of being a spy, sought to have him impeached twice, would not further lie or try to disrupt his speeches and rallies. I mean, come on. Who was the guy who just tried to kill Donald Trump? Honest question. I'm not suggesting. I'm saying, who was he? And why did the Secret Service allow him to do it? Media says, Elon Musk's claim of massive DDoS attack reportedly denied by sources at X. 99% chance it's a lie. Any source at X who's going to claim that better have some real credentials. They say Elon Musk's interview with President Trump on X, the platform formerly known as Twitter, got off to a very bumpy start. We know. Several sources at X telling The Verge it was just not true. All right. I don't care to read the Mediaite. Let's just pull up the story itself. Let's see. I'm assuming it's going to be this one. They have two stories saying the same thing from The Verge. All right, here we go. This is the claim we have from The Verge. They say Elon Musk's conversation, bumpy start. Those who managed to get in, doesn't matter anyway. They got off to an amazing start when it did start with 1.3 million concurrents. The rest of X appear to be working normally. However, a source at the company confirmed The Verge if there wasn't actually a denial of service attack. Another X staffer said there was a 99% chance Musk was lying about the attack. In a series of follow-up posts on X, Musk claimed the company tested the system with 8 million concurrent listeners on Monday. Around the time the interview began, there was 915,000 people listening to the space. Musk repeated the DDoS claim when the space finally began around 8:40 p.m., as this massive attack illustrates there's a lot of opposition to people hearing what Trump has to say. Now, I got a question for you. Who do you trust more? That's really all it's going to come down to. Two unnamed individuals reportedly working for X. We don't know who they are or their expertise. What if it's a janitor? What if it's a janitor who works there and he's like, I don't know. So do you really trust it? But you know what? I'm going to tell you this. I don't know. So I will allow you. I will say this. You are allowed to believe. You know why? Because that means if there was no DDoS attack, so many people wanted to watch this stream and listen to Donald Trump that it broke X's servers. Wow. I think Elon Musk saying it was a DDoS is less charitable to Donald Trump. Someone doesn't want Trump to speak. Okay, well, how about this? How about Elon comes out and says, heavens to Betsy. The demand for Donald Trump was so high that our servers were overloaded and we tested for 8 million. Isn't that something? And then he ended up with 1.3 million concurrents, which I'm pretty sure is a record in the digital age for a political speech or conversation. Take whichever one you want, fine. But I got to tell you, based on how the media is reacting, I'm going to go ahead and say it's probably a DDoS. They're not super hard to pull off. Distributed denial of service attack. Here's how they can work. So there's something called a DOS attack, a denial of service. Really simple. A computer blasts as many requests as it can at a server. The server then basically it's backlogged. I'll put it this way. Imagine far leftists made 10 million blank postcards or letters, full letters and envelopes, and sent them to one post office. That post office is going to be like, we can't go through the mail because of all of these letters. Like, we're trying to sort through them as many as we can. And then you're going to be like, hey, where's my paycheck? It's supposed to be in the mail. And they're like, dude, we have 10 million letters to go through. That's basically what it is. So you can't get a response because they flood the system. Considering how easy it is to do that, with a distributed denial of service attack, you basically infect or run a bunch of computers. So you can have something like 10,000 computers all sending requests at the exact same time and sending like, I don't know, several hundred of thousands per second to overload a server so that no one can access it. I'm going to go with a DDoS attack. I mean, if you really want to believe that the demand for Donald Trump is so high, it essentially functions like a DDoS attack on one of the largest social network platforms on the planet, by all means, fine. Maybe. But I really do think Elon prepared, considering what happened with Ron DeSantis. The dude is trying to go to Mars and is launching satellites. I don't think he would script something so simple, but it is possible. Fair point. Take a look at this article from USA Today. Trump rambles and slurs his way through Elon Musk interview. It was an unmitigated disaster. My guy, calm down. Donald Trump spoke with Elon Musk. I give it a 7 out of 10. A lot of people were like, Tim, it's a 10 out of 10. How dare you not give Trump a 10 out of 10? The other crew here, we had Mark Ivanyo, we had Carter Banks and Hannah Claire Brimelow, and they all said, 8 to 9 out of 10. And I'm like, no, it's a 7. Donald Trump has done better rallies, in my opinion, where they're funny. He's doing stand-up. This conversation, in and of itself, for the historical moment, I'd say it was a 9 out of 10. Not Trump speaking. What I mean is Elon's work for a record-breaking concurrent viewership is a historical moment, and we were here to witness that. That's amazing. In terms of the actual overall conversation, it was good. Trump rambles? They were having a conversation, dude. Calm down. What do you think this was? It wasn't even a Trump rally. They're trying to claim it was. Slurs his way. Now this is where Trump's going to take a big hit among regular people and moderates. It certainly sounded like Donald Trump had a slush at certain points. Of course, people, let me just do this for you. Because if you watched the show last night, you know that I was so angry about this. Here we go. Top stories. Donald Trump's lisp. Independent. Trump, this one doesn't mention a lisp, does it? Nope. Tech plagued. That one doesn't say lisp. Come on. I want to hear about Trump's lisp. Let's do this because a lot of them are bringing up poking fun at Trump's lisp. The Independent, how poking fun at Trump's lisp could backfire. Okay. All right. The Telegraph, Trump speaks with a lisp. No, he didn't. Heavens. You know what, man? TMZ, I expected more from you. It's called a slush, not a lisp. A lisp is when you talk like this. It's when your tongue is between your teeth and you can't say your S's. That's a lisp. A slush is when you try and say S's and it sounds like there's spit in your mouth. That's what we were hearing. It was a slush, not a lisp. But I can't say I'm surprised. These people don't know what they're talking about. The reality is, and I will tell you this, my friends, for those that were actually listening to the show on Timcast IRL, we had a professional audio engineer, fortunately sitting with us, Carter Banks, and immediately said two important things to consider. The first, not every one of Trump's S's was slurred, indicating it wasn't a speech impediment. It doesn't make sense that someone would have a lisp and they'd be talking quite fine like this, but then periodically they'd say something like that, and then you'd be like, whoa, did he just lisp randomly? Now, to be fair, people with lisps actually do sometimes struggle to not lisp, and they'll be talking and sounding perfectly fine, and then they'll start lisping. I'm sorry, let me correct myself. Sure. What Carter said is, because there were instances where Trump would say similar words and not slush, it was indicative of a technical issue, an engineering issue, not a physical issue. This is coming from a guy who literally listens to vocals all day in headphones and can hear when compression effects, de-essers can actually cause problems. So I'll tell you what I think is likely. It could actually be Donald Trump got dental work or something done. I don't believe he has dentures. I think Donald Trump actually has implants. I could be wrong. Some people said he doesn't have dentures. The dude's nearly 80, but he's also a billionaire. So I'd imagine he probably has implants. If he doesn't, he might have all his teeth. I mean, the dude's wealthy. He can afford to have all his teeth. But I don't think he has dentures. Some have said because he was looking down at the phone, it may have been causing him some issues where he would slush sometimes. I don't think so, because there were points where the same words would not have a slush. But by all means, far be it from me. I think there's a possibility he got dental work done, and that's why they didn't do it on video, but they did film it, so I don't know. I guess people are saying if you watch the videos that they record and put out, there's no slushing. Trump had a mic to the left on his lapel, and when he was talking, he also had something attached to the phone, likely a battery, but there seemed to have been an additional microphone as well. Unfortunately for the Trump team, it may have actually been that they use some kind of de-esser compression. A de-esser tries to limit the hissing in audio. It may have been due to a fan. We actually have compression that we put on the Timcast IRL podcast, and some of you may notice this. We have a fan in the room, and sometimes you will hear nothing. Someone will talk, and you'll hear them talk, but you'll also hear a zh as they're talking. That's because the compression keeps that sound off until a decibel level is met. And then I don't think we do any de-essers, but what happens with de-essers, and you got to be careful with this, is because someone could be talking with and it cuts the audio down, and it can turn it into a weird sound. That's what I was just doing right now. Although that being said, hey man, for all I know, Trump actually just had some dental work and he's looking down. Because sometimes when you get dental work done and you've got like gauze or something, that could cause it. Now, here's what I love. USA Today, it was an unmitigated disaster. Oh, come on. Geez, I'm not going to sit here and claim Trump gave a historic speech where he was just like, 7 years ago, I got elected and it was great for everyone. And Elon was like, wow. And it wasn't one of those. The RNC speech was upwards of closer to a 10, in my opinion. Trump went long. He spoke. He went and hugged Corey Comprator's firefighter gear, talked about the assassination. It was emotional. It was riveting. It was up there. It was up there. This was Trump having a conversation. It was good. I'm glad people got to hear it. It wasn't an unmitigated disaster. It was actually substantially successful, with 24 million people having listened to it so far. Massive press being generated. Donald Trump stealing the PR light. So I don't know what you're thinking. To claim to come out now and be like, it was a disaster, but that's what the media is doing. Donald Trump's lisp. Okay, you know what, man? Please, by all means, I implore you. Ask questions about the slushing, but please don't call it a lisp. It's a slush. You ever hear it's, who's the, on Family Guy? Neil, the kid with the braces. He talks like this. That's a slush. Okay. That's what it was when Trump was talking and you'd hear the S, that sound. Okay. I'm going to say it again because I'm really hoping people can understand this. I actually had someone tweet at me. They were like, I'm a speech pathologist. Tim, you're correct. It's not a lisp. People are wrong. And I'm like, thank you. I am not a speech pathologist. I'm just a guy who reads the internet, and I know the difference. So I can just say this. Fact check false. Trump did not have a lisp. And I'm sure the left is going to go, hey, Tim's so dumb. He's saying Trump did have a lisp. I'm saying he had a slush. Anyway, the media, look at this, is rambling Trump. What do you mean rambling? I'm rambling right now. Dude, this morning show is 2 hours of me literally just talking nonstop. And people are like, Tim, how do you talk nonstop for 2 hours? And I say, I can ramble longer than that. You just say anything and I can ramble on. I got a bag of beef jerky. Oh boy. Did you guys know that beef jerky, a lot of these companies are putting wheat because they use soy sauce for the jerky. I could ramble on anything. Donald Trump had a conversation, okay, with Elon Musk. You call me rambling, I say, okay, I guess. Sometimes I go off on tangents. That's totally fine. But this is clear bias and manipulation. Donald Trump's lisp raises questions. What questions? At certain points in the interview, Trump's words sounded a bit odd, with users questioning whether it could be due to technical issues, a lisp, or even if he was slurring. It's called slushing. At the start of what Musk stressed was a conversation, not an adversarial interview. Trump said, congratulations, people. I can play some audio for you guys. We have it right here. Maybe we'll get it through.
Because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually those are voices that...
Let me play that again.
Because I see you broke every record in the book with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices.
Silencing. See, slush. Although he does say though.
So many millions of people.
Yeah, right there. That's interesting.
So many millions of people with so many millions of people, and it's an honor. We view that as an honor. And then you do want silencing of certain voices. Usually,
I think it's compression, to be completely honest. And I'll stress it again. I think it's a compression issue. The same thing seems to happen at several points in the interview. What they're basically saying when they frame it this way, guys, is that there are several points where Trump was speaking and there was no slushing or lisping or anything like that, which I think is more indicative not of Trump having a speech issue, because we've seen him talk on TV all the time. It's not like he developed a slush or a lisp overnight. And they also posted videos of Trump speaking. Maybe I should, pull one of those up. The Harris Campaign Profile HQ posted about it, quoting a section of the conversation about climate change. Trump slurring says he's okay with climate change and rising sea levels because he thinks he'll have more oceanfront property. Ha ha. I think I actually have the, do we have the Kamala Harris response here? So Kamala Harris responded, President Trump has been speaking for over an hour to over 1 million people. This is from Trump War Room, actually, about his winning agenda for American people. Kamala is big mad about this, and she refuses to speak to the media, do an interview, or even explain what platform she's even running on. So here's what they responded with. Or this is not their response. This is the, I'll pull up the response in a second. What they said during. Right now, Elon Musk is interviewing Donald Trump live on Twitter. We're not calling it X. Wait. What? Why? Like, could you imagine someone goes to Hardee's and they're like, I'm not calling it Hardee's, it's Carl's Jr. And you're like, well, it's Carl's Jr. on the East Coast and it's Hardee's on the West Coast because it's two different names and how they branded it, but it's basically the same company. No, I'm not calling it that. I'm like, dude, I don't care. That's so weird. Okay. This stuff happens. It's not enough that Musk has pledged to donate millions of dollars to help re-elect Trump. He's using his purchased platform, one of the largest social media sites in the world, to spread Trump's unhinged and hateful agenda to millions of users. If that's all you need to hear, chip in $25 now to help Kamala and Tim have the resources to respond to their lies. Otherwise, let us remind you why it's a big deal. The richest person in the world is a lackey for Team MAGA. Musk already ruined Twitter by allowing hate speech and disinformation to flood the platform. Now Musk is using his vast fortune and broad reach to try and control our democracy. Control our democracy, he says. Yeah, or whoever says. Sure. Let's pull up the Kamala Harris. They actually have a separate response. Let me see if I can pull this one. So we have this. Election Wizard tweets the Trump campaign response to the Harris press release. But here's the Harris press release. Donald Trump's extremism and dangerous Project 2025 agenda is a feature, not a glitch, of his campaign, which was on full display for those unlucky enough to listen in tonight during whatever that was on X.com. Trump's entire campaign is in service of people like Elon Musk and himself, self-obsessed rich guys who will sell out the middle class and who cannot run a live stream in the year 2024. In the year 2024. It was a Spaces, not a live stream. But come on. Like, they couldn't run it. They got 24 million people, lady. They were late. Calm down. Well, the Trump campaign responded. Understandable that Kamala's campaign would find it confusing to listen to a president speak, a presidential candidate speak off the prompter for more than 0 seconds. Ha ha. Elon Musk has invited Kamala Harris for a Spaces on X. Will you accept, Kamala? You know, I can be pretty nasty. I called Kamala an evil witch. I don't expect her to ever come on Timcast IRL or whatever. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We're going to be who we are. We're going to be who we are. I do see a super chat saying that I'm losing sleep. I didn't lose. I had great sleep last night, mind you. Great sleep. I don't know who had bad sleep, but here we go. Self-obsessed rich guys who can't run a live stream. EU. What else do we have to round this out? The Elon Musk being threatened with arrest. And then we have the fact checking. So I'll run through this one really quick as I round out this opening segment. Yeah, I think Trump gets a lot wrong. I think Trump should be criticized. And I think there's some context that we can break through and talk about what's going on. So let's run through this quick. Trump, CNN's fact check. I don't think I actually want to read this. What is it? 20 false claims. Oh, spare me, dude. Our crime rate's going through the roof. First of all, that's a figure of speech. Going through the roof. What does that mean? They say that he's wrong. Crime is going down. Crime is going down. Crime is going down. Well, it depends on the crime you're focused on. So it's more nuanced than that. The Post Millennial says homicides rise in Atlanta, Charlotte, Minneapolis, Omaha, and Raleigh. Murder's gone up in a bunch of cities, and overall murder from the past 8 years has gone way up, relatively. So from the Trump administration to the Harris administration, there has been an increase. However, the past several years under the Biden administration, I say Harris administration, it's actually gone down. But other crimes like robberies, robberies have gone up. So here's what ends up happening. I can just pull this up. Tracking FBI and Uniform Crime Report stats. We can see that this is really funny. It was like, here's how I would do it. And, okay, I don't care. I said, Google it. It did. Crime tends to be fairly static across the country. 390 or so incidents per 100,000 people. It hasn't changed substantially. But to just go off general crime is not the easiest way to go about it. So when we look at the overall crimes reported, we can then see it's fairly the same from 2017 to 2024. So why is that? Haven't we heard a lot more crime? It's either going to go down or up. It's the same. Well, the reality is this. Adding in the uniform crime reports, you'll get different numbers. And we can see this. Crime rate trends by type from 2017 when Trump took office till today. We can see arson, motor vehicle theft, larceny theft, burglary, aggravated assault, robbery, and rape are down. And murder is way up. So change in crime rate by proportion, murder has increased. So thinking about the types of crime that are going to generate more news stories, this is what people are concerned about. So when Trump says something like crime's way up, well, it's because you're seeing in the news murder. When you don't see crimes in the news, you're probably going to say something like, probably not happening, but it is happening. Just because many of these crimes have gone down doesn't mean it's not the case. Now, outside of the Trump administration, during Kamala Harris's tenure as vice president from 2021 till today, motor vehicle theft and robbery are actually up, while murder is actually down. So what ends up happening is you'll see a lot of stories anytime crime increases. The same was true when I was in Sweden. Though crime may be going down in other areas, when Trump says something general like crime is up, likely due to the fact that some crime is up and you're seeing a lot of it in the press. But you are seeing a lot of things they're not going to list as crimes, like riots, certain types of violence and vandalism won't register. So we have seen certain types of worrying crimes happen more frequently, despite the fact the overall rate may be down in many areas. So I guess the important thing to understand is when you go to big cities, there is a good chance you will be the victim of crimes, and in new and different ways you didn't expect, and it can be scary. Overall, you're probably going to be fine in most places. It just really depends on where you go. And crime may drop in one part of the city and rise in other parts of the city, which impact rich people and poor people in different ways. That being said, I think it's fair to say that crime is way up. What does that mean? It means we're looking at certain crimes that are up, be it political unrest, violence, riots, etc. People are seeing more of it in the media. And so the challenge is liberals are going to approach it from a framing of crime is way down. What are you talking about? I don't care if certain crimes are up. And the right is going to say, I am seeing more crime happen around me. And the perception is, I think, more important than the statistics. Let me try and phrase this and clarify. If crime doesn't affect you, and there's a lot of it, and then overall across the board, certain crimes, many crimes are going down, and then you go out and start to see more crime in your area, that's what matters to the voters. So the questions that the stats don't get to in this regard is going to be something like, are the types of crime that are increasing having a bigger impact on the community and the personal lives of run-of-the-mill average Joes? And are the stats spread out across the board for crime involving things like financial crimes and large corporate property crimes? I suppose another way to put it is crime could go down across the board because people aren't breaking into banks anymore. But if people are breaking into houses, everyone's going to say crime is up because it's really about crime that affects the individual. Trump is hearing these stories more. Could be a component of media sensationalism. So to stress, statistically across the board, crime is not necessarily down or up. The CNN's going to say it's way down. We can see that it's down in many areas while murder's up in some areas. But you look at uniform crime reports on FBI, it's fairly much the same. It goes down a little bit. It goes up a little bit. It just really depends on whether the crime is affecting regular people or not, and whether the media will report it. Thus, I think it's fair to say the crime that matters to people, they are seeing an increase of. Arson? How often does arson happen in the first place? So arson going down is not going to affect the average person, but motor vehicle theft going up, more and more people being like, I lost my car, my life. What am I going to do? That's something that affects regular people. Like larceny? Oh, come on. Larceny theft I get, but they're wrapping in like robbing a bank. Okay. Burglary going down. That matters too. Less people are going to feel this. So I just call this one a mixed bag. Everyone's going to give you their perspective where they claim it's either right or wrong, but it's just nuanced. What else do we have? I don't want to go too much on this inflation. Trump's right about inflation. He was just exaggerating. He said, they say it's 48 years. I don't believe it. He says, I think we have the worst inflation in 100 years. And they go, Trump framed this as an opinion, but it's baseless nonetheless. Second, inflation has declined sharply. It's an opinion. It's not baseless. It's an opinion. That's so stupid. Inflation actually is the worst we've seen in 48 years or 41 years. Oh, okay. I'm not going to go through the rest. I'm going to wrap this up. I think this is a good opener, but I want to go to your super chats. Here you go. Here's the CNN headline they're putting on all their articles. Musk tries to help Trump halt Harris's surge. Ah, yes. Well, my friends, next up, Trump campaign office burglarized in Virginia. So when they say there was no DDOS attack, none of this is happening, I'm like, bro, someone broke into Trump's campaign headquarters in Virginia or campaign office. There are people trying to stop this man. And then in this, we'll talk about, here you go, Time Magazine. Kamala Harris getting the cover of Time without even doing an interview. It is fairly obvious what's going on. Trump is being victimized. He is. I'm not saying he's a victim. I'm saying he's being targeted. And Kamala Harris is being propped up. But for now, we'll jump to your super chats, my friends. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show right now, share that stream, and we will read what y'all have to say about what you think. We'll talk about what's going on. DJW says, network engineer here. Carter is correct. This was an audio compression every day. The media did a media like it always does. And again, a stress with the Trump slushing and the lisp sounds. If someone's got a lisp, they're likely going to be lisping the whole time they talk. Donald Trump was talking normally, and then periodically you'd hear a weird sound that sounded like a slush or compression. That's why I think it was audio. But I don't know. Maybe Trump got dental work done. It happens. Joshua029 says, howdy, fellers and fellerettes. Kendall Bird says, I heard that at Tim Pool is controlled by a little alien that lives under his mini. You heard that I was controlled by a little. I'm gonna tell you this, my friend. I'm gonna pull this up on X.com because I'm gonna pull something up and we'll throw this in a little bonus segment for you guys in a second, because where someone super chatted about me being tired. Sorth Weast says, YouTube shadow ban can't stop me from finding this. For real, though, despite ringing the effing bell, YouTube does not recommend you. I know! I have to wonder how many concurrent views and how many total views my morning and nightly shows would get were it not for YouTube trying really hard to hide it. And especially the crazy thing is we were shadow banned last week. And you couldn't even find it on the page. I tweeted about it. We still ended up at 35K, and then they released the shadow ban, and I reappeared on the front page for subscribers, and viewers went up to over 40K, and it was funny because people were like, they tried to shadow ban you, but people still show up. JRG Project says, for once, a telethon worth watching besides the scam artist hawking another Boomer album or on PBS. Well, I mean, Trump didn't even ask for donations. He should have. Would have been great. Kyle says, I'd love to see Trump have a strong 2024 nuclear energy policy. Commit to build small nuclear power plants throughout the country to help lower the costs. Okay, I'm coming in right here, baby. I said last night, I disagreed wildly with Elon Musk when he said he went to Fukushima and he ate fresh-grown vegetables and all that stuff. What I disagree with is not nuclear energy. I'm a huge nuclear energy proponent. It's one of the reasons why I didn't like working at Greenpeace. They were lying. Nuclear energy is way safer than coal. Nuclear power is wonderful. It's got a lower death rate. Now, as for Fukushima, I went there. I went to Fukushima. Luke Rudkowski and I both went. We wore full protective gear and masks and goggles. The ground radiation was something like 200 times background. That's the iodine. What is it? 131? It's been a long time. I think it's iodine 131. Is that what the isotope is? Yeah, right. Radioisotope iodine 131 is, it gets into your thyroid and it causes problems. It can cause cancer. It's bad. What people don't realize is that we're not talking about gamma wave radiation, which is you're getting blasted by like the elephant's foot in Ukraine. We went to Fukushima and we brought Geiger counters and we went to the soil, we went to the roofs, we went to lampposts, and we could see the variation. On the ground, in the soil, it was 200 times or more background. Our fixer. A fixer is somebody who guides you through an area. It was a Japanese woman. She was, I believe she was in her 60s. She developed cancer like a year or two after this, and she died from it. The response from people was like, some people die from cancer for no reason. And I'm like, okay, I get it. But she was a fixer who went into Fukushima all the time and was warned. And I believe it was thyroid cancer that she ended up getting and dying from. And so I will just stress this. I am pro-nuclear energy. But when you go to Fukushima and eat fresh-grown vegetables, usually the area has been cleared and decontaminated. The entirety of the area was negatively impacted by the disaster. I don't think we need to act like it wasn't. It's kind of scary. But if you decontaminate the area, you're fine. People had to evacuate. Not everybody's affected the same way. So, I'll probably get my thyroid tested. I don't know. I think I'm doing pretty well. Doing pretty well right now, health-wise. But it is dangerous. It is dangerous. But I am still pro-nuclear energy because these disasters are few and far between. And it was an older generation nuclear power plant hit by a tsunami and an earthquake. So I'm not super worried about it. So yeah, Trump, pro-nuclear energy. Let's go. All right. Filthy Casual says, only question I got is where can I buy a skateboard? Bud, going to learn to skate at 35 will be small enough to fit in my truck. It's really tough because you don't want to go to Zoomies. Sorry, Zoomies. It's a mall shop. They don't got a big selection. It is good that they exist, and at a moment's notice, you can go and pick up some gear you might need. But you really want to try and find a core skate shop. The problem with all of them is they're all so woke. You want to buy a skateboard? Hit up Donut Operator. Let me see if I can find his Donut Operator's got a skate shop. Pretty sure. Let me try and find this one. 50 Skate Shop. There we go. Okay, the website's not there yet. Go on Instagram and let me pull this up because is the guy's website yet? Nope. It says opening soon. All right, Donut Operator, you got to get it. You got to get there. Here we go. 50 Skate Shop. So it's in Bourne, Texas. And I don't know. Hit up Donut Operator and buy gear from him because we want to support companies that are good people that support our values. And you guys know Donut Operator. He's got a YouTube channel. He's a good dude. Let's go. We'll grab a couple more here before we jump to the next one. There's one that I wanted to get because here we go. Let's read this. Likes for haters says, Tim, keep up the skate fight. It's more than building the culture. People must be the culture. More than 2 decades since I've skateboarded. However, my latest TTRPG character, Booney, is an apocalyptic skateboarder to Genesis system. Likely carry him into Cyberpunk Red Game. Well, there you go. There you go. All right. Someone had a tweet where they said they like it when I don't get a lot of sleep. And I'm going to take this opportunity to talk about health. Health. So let me see if I can find this one. Tim explaining what a slush is while speaking with a slush is one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the show. That's a slush. Gee, Meg. For a guy. Oh, well, anyway, there was a super chat where they said, Tim, I like it when you don't get sleep because you're funnier or whatever. Where is it? Why can't I find it? It's always so hard to find super chats. And let me just see if I can find it in a couple seconds. Because I tweeted out earlier my health metrics. And I've got people telling me that I'm in bad shape. They say, bad shape, Tim, your heart rate's too low. It's too low. Nope. I can't find it. But I will pull this up. It's all about being fit, ladies and gentlemen. So these are my health metrics for my Sleep 8 mattress. I have a heart rate of 45 beats per minute resting. Yesterday it was 43. I didn't post that one. My heart rate variability is 113. And my breath rate was 15. No drinking, no smoking, eat right, exercise, daily vitamins, and drink water. This is fairly normal for me. I'm not a cardiologist or anything like that, but I do know that a resting heart rate in the 40s is great. It's very good. And so periodically my heart rate will be 42 or 43. I went snowboarding last year and got really dehydrated because you're up high altitude, and you're doing physical activity. And I didn't drink that much. I had like a Gatorade, and I got sick, and I felt really sick. So I went to the hospital, and it's crazy because I started drinking water, but surprise, surprise, that doesn't just rehydrate you. You need electrolytes. So just drinking water wasn't solving the problem. I didn't know what the problem was. Went to the doctor. They put a heart rate monitor on me, and the nurse walks out and immediately goes, wah, 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 starts going off. She walks in and looks at it. My heart rate was like 43, and she's like, you an athlete? And I was like, yeah. She's like, okay. She beep and walks out. HRV 113 is heart rate variability. It's the difference between when your heart beats or whatever. Again, don't know too much. What I can tell you is this. I'm 38 years old, and the average is between 40 and 70, and I've consistently got around 113. And so eat right, get fit, and you can live better. You can live better. So the people who are saying Tim didn't get a lot of sleep, wrong. Not correct. I got tremendous sleep. I slept for 7 hours and 45 minutes, and all of my health metrics were through the roof. Very good. Been working out, staying fit, and skating. And, you got to do it. It's important that everybody does. But let's jump to the next story, my friends. This is huge news coming out of ABC Trump campaign office burglarized in Virginia. This story broke yesterday at 7, just before the Elon Musk Donald Trump interview. So it got very little attention. And is it getting a lot of attention right now? Let's stress it again. Donald Trump's campaign office in Virginia was burglarized. This is huge. They're saying Virginia may be in play right now. So Donald Trump's office in Virginia is a key component in essentially disrupting the Kamala Harris campaign, or I should say in winning. Let me pull up 270 to win real quick, and we'll slide this over. We'll take a look. We'll reset the map. Right now, they're saying Virginia is safe blue, right? But in Virginia, they have just now switched to all paper ballots, which I'm saying I'd be willing to make a bet. Look at the polling right here, 270 to win. They're saying this is likely blue. It's not safe blue. It's likely blue, likely Democrat. With all mail-in votes, I would not be surprised. I'm sorry, with all paper ballots and limited, I think they're doing they're severely limiting absentee. It's going to go Republican. I live right here. OK, let me tell you, can I zoom in on this, make it bigger? Let me tell you about what's going on. OK, kind of. So we're here in the eastern panhandle of West Virginia. All right. Let me ask you, how is it that you got West Virginia, which is safe red, and then literally right across the street, they say it's Democrat. They say it's likely. Virginia? Come on, really? Now, don't get me wrong. There's areas of Virginia that are very DC suburb heavy people. But I go hang out in these places. We went to one of our favorite spots. Some of the best food you will ever eat is Barcelona Wine Bar in Reston, Virginia. Shout out. And when we go there, these are people who live in Loudoun County in one of the wealthiest areas in what's supposed to be a deep blue state. And they're like, hey, Tim, wow, big fan. Glad to see you here. People are like waving to me. They're fans. It's not a place I go to where I see pride flags and far left stuff, though it does exist. Don't get me wrong. I think Virginia is moderate to conservative only in the sense that Democrats have gone nuts. And I think the only reason it goes deep blue is because of ballot harvesting. With paper ballots right now, I think Virginia's in play. Could be wrong. Hey, I'm just some guy complaining on the internet. But that's why this story is huge. That someone broke into his office to do what? Maybe steal internal metrics, steal data, leak it to the press? ABC News reports, authorities are looking for a man in connection to a burglary at the Trump for President 2024 campaign office in Ashburn, Virginia. The Loudoun County Sheriff's Office announced Monday. Sheriff's deputies said they were alerted to the break-in approximately 9 p.m. Eastern, but the suspect was gone before officials arrived on the scene. So apparently this happened the day before. Surveillance video provided by officials showed the suspect, an adult male wearing dark clothing, a dark cap, and a backpack. Look at this. Yo, this is insane levels of political interference. Crazy. The investigation is ongoing, and the sheriff's office did not indicate if anything was taken or left at the scene. Quote, it's rare to have the office of any political campaign or party broken into, Sheriff Mike Chapman said in the news release. We are determined to identify the suspect, investigate why it happened, and determine what may have been taken as well as what may have been left behind. The campaign office, which is leased, also serves as the headquarters of the Virginia 10th District Republican Committee, officials said. Okay. Do I got to say it? Come on. The level of political strife in this country is reaching craziness. Crazy points. They say it's rare that someone's going to break into a campaign office like this. That's strange. Certainly it is. Certainly it is. It's rare. So Lives a TikTok posted this. It's rare to have the office of any political campaign or party broken into. Why? I think it's getting crazy. I would not be surprised. We saw this in the last election, violence against Trump campaign HQs and Republican campaign headquarters. Call it what you want, man. This is civil strife. Civil strife. It goes civil unrest, civil strife, civil war. Now, I don't see Republicans burglarizing Democrat HQs. I don't see Republicans rioting in the streets after someone tried to kill Donald Trump. They don't do it. So the fear really is this. With civil strife, this conflict, it could evolve into civil war. I said it. However, if it's one-sided, it's just a revolution. And then you will live under the boot. So I don't know what to expect. But once again, surprise, surprise, it's Republicans being targeted. Likely this is I'd imagine this is a Democrat. So let's talk about the current state of politics in this country. Donald Trump, they are trying to put in prison. His headquarters are burglarized in Virginia. A DDoS attack seeks to stop him from speaking to Elon Musk. Here we go from Politico. We received internal Trump documents from Robert. Then the campaign confirmed it was hacked. The campaign suggested Iran was to blame. Politico has not independently verified the identity of the hacker or their motivation. The acknowledgement came after Politico began receiving emails from an anonymous account with documents from inside Trump's operation. The campaign blamed foreign sources hostile to the United States, citing a Microsoft report on Friday that Iranian hackers sent a spear phishing email in June to a high-ranking official on a presidential campaign. Microsoft did not identify the campaign targeted by the email and declined to comment Saturday. Politico has not independently verified the identity of the hacker or their motivation. And a Trump campaign spokesperson, Stephen Chung, declined to say if they had further information substantiating the suggestion it came from, it was targeted by Iran. These documents were obtained illegally from foreign sources hostile to the U.S., intended to interfere with the 2024 election and sow chaos throughout the democratic process. On Friday, a new report from Microsoft found that Iranian hackers broke into the account of a high-ranking official on the U.S. presidential campaign in June 2024, which coincides with the close timing of Trump's selection of a vice presidential nominee. Chung declined to say whether the campaign had been in contact with Microsoft or law enforcement. On July 22nd, Politico began receiving emails from an anonymous account. Over the course of the past week, the person who used an AOL email identified themselves as Robert, relayed what appeared to be internal communications from a senior Trump campaign official, a research dossier the campaign had apparently done on Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, which was dated February 23rd, which was included in the documents. The documents are authentic, according to two people familiar with them. One of the people described in the dossier as a preliminary version of Vance's vetting file. There's Vance looking a little thick. Lost some weight, it looks like. The dossier was a 271-page document based on publicly available information about Vance's past record statement with some, such as past criticisms of Trump, including potential vulnerabilities. The person also sent part of a research document about Marco Rubio, who was also a finalist for the vice presidential nomination. We knew that, but it turned out not to be him. I believe that they're saying they're not going to release this, but I'll pause there and tell you guys what a spear phishing campaign is. I know most of you probably know, but for the benefit of those who are not familiar, phishing, P-H-I-S-I-N-G, not F, is when you get an email that says something like reset your password. So if you receive an email from Google and it's like, click here to reset your password for a new security update, that's phishing. Spear phishing is when they spoof their email and target you specifically. So what ends up happening then, a spoofed email would be your coworker emails you and it says their email address on it because you can easily fake that. And it'll say something like, hey, Jim, I need you to log into the corporate site for me and update and check your birthday to make sure it's correct. We're doing, internal stuff and we want to make sure we have everything on file. When you click the link, it sends you to a fake website. Then when you try to log in, you're actually just sending your credentials to the hacker. It's a social engineering technique. With that being said, for those who are not familiar with the story, I'll tell you one of the most brilliant spear phishing stories that I've ever seen and personally got to experience when I worked at Vice.com to give you an understanding of how it works. One day I received an email from infonet.some garbage, and it said, hello, we are updating our accounts for all employees. Please click here. And I laughed and it said, oh, please. I'm not falling for that. I walked over to the chief technical officer of Vice and I was like, hey, I just want to let you know I got a phishing email. If it's coming to me, it's probably going to a lot of people. And he's like, okay, I'll let everybody know. Shortly after that, I receive an email from Shane Smith, the CEO himself, saying, hey, did you see this breaking news, with a link to CNN? Of course, the link wasn't really to CNN. It just looked like it. And then it had a signature on the email that said, Shane Smith, managing editor, Vice. And I busted out laughing. The signature did look like a Vice signature, but Shane doesn't use one. He's the CEO, nor would he call himself managing editor. That's spear phishing. And so it said Shane, Vice or whatever his email was. And so I went to the CTO and I was like, they're ramping it up, dude. Take a look at this. And he's like, dude, I know. We had a bunch of people click the stupid link and I had to go to them and reset their passwords manually. And but fortunately, nobody got in. We caught it very quickly. But yeah, they're trying to ramp up this phishing attack. And I was like, well, good for you. And then the masterstroke. I clapped when I saw this. The CTO, the next day, I get an email from the CTO, perfect, signature correct, and everything. And it said, guys, I told you this over and over again. Stop clicking on links from people you do not know. We've already been compromised, and now we have to go in and reset everyone's password. Okay, so please click here and reset your password now. And I was just, bravo, masterstroke. And I busted out laughing. I ran to the CTO and I was like, they got us. Dude, look at this. And he went, oh my God. Of course he didn't send the email. It was the perfect long con. They purposefully sent botched phishing attempts so that the CTO would warn everybody that the attacks were happening. So when the when they sent the spoof email as the CTO being like, dude, I warned you about this. The employee goes, yeah, he did come to me. He warned me about this. Now it's personal. And you're thinking this can't be fake. He did tell me I'd need to reset my password if I clicked it. Here's the password reset. He told me I'd have to do it. And they got dozens of people in the spear phishing. So that's how spear phishing works. This is likely how you don't need to be so sophisticated, but that was awesome. And then it was funny when Vice actually ended up getting hacked by the Syrian Electronic Army. Oh, man. I feel bad for the higher ups because they're aware of this and they're desperately trying to plug all the holes. But this is likely what you end up with in something like a Trump administration as they're attacking Trump to try and stop him from winning. They're going to mention that last month, U.S. intelligence community received increasing evidence suggesting Iran was working on plots to kill Trump in relation to his decision to order the assassination of Qasem Soleimani in 2020. There's no indication the shooter who targeted Trump was connected to the plot. In a statement on Saturday, Chung pointed to these reports saying the Iranians know that Trump will stop their reign of terror just like he did in his first 4 years in the White House. Iranian government officials could not be reached for comment immediately. And they go on to mention that they've launched into Russia and all these other investigations. This is what the Trump administration is currently facing in efforts to shut them down. Not to mention, you've got Kamala Harris stealing his campaign positions, offering up none. It is a wild time, my friends. Well, here's the latest updates, okay? In the battleground average, this is what matters. But you know what? Let me do this. Let me come back to this so I can explain. The 2024 general election, Trump versus Harris 5-way race. In aggregate, Kamala Harris is winning 1.1 points. All right, let's play this game. Let's do this. I'm going to go 2020 election, pull up that data, and we'll take a look at the vote margins. And then we'll jump to where Kamala's currently at. So we had Joe Biden versus Donald Trump. I know. People are saying, but Tim, it was rigged. Hold on. In 2020, Joe Biden, by all reported metrics, wins 51.3 to Donald Trump's 46.8. Did you notice something, my friends? That is nowhere near 1%. That's a very large margin. Now, here's what's important. This is just shy of 4.5 points that he's down. That Trump was down by 4.5. That's the margin of defeat. Joe Biden was up in the polls 7.4, but in the end only netted 4.5 nationally. And I believe that's popular vote, correct? That's based on popular vote percentage. Not that the popular vote matters for the Electoral College, but this is what matters here. Right now, we're looking at Kamala Harris being up 1 point. Let's say that she faces the same margin of failure as Joe Biden, which looks about to be 3 points. He polled 3 points better than he did. This means Kamala is down 2 points to Trump if we do the same metric from 2020. I don't think it'll be the same. Every election, you're going to get a new voting block entering, though they don't have a big impact. Young voters tend not to vote all that much. So we'll see. But a lot of these younger voters are going to be older voters. So 4 years ago, people are now going to be in their mid to late 20s. They're going to start voting in larger numbers. We don't exactly know how things will change. But just off of that, Kamala Harris is actually underwater. But you know what doesn't matter? General election. What really matters is this. Top battlegrounds RCP average Wisconsin, Arizona, Georgia, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Nevada. Harris is only winning in Michigan and Wisconsin. And if those same margins hold true like last time around, well, then Trump's winning. We can look at betting odds. We can look at civics and things like this. I love this data about Kamala Harris. And it's so weird because she's like the VP who's currently in the administration, but, you know, she keeps blaming Trump and refusing to do work or whatever. Okay, fine, I guess. But look at this spike in her popularity, her favorability. I'm sorry. Just all of a sudden, people are like, I like her now. It's a cult. Across the board, it is a cult. There's no reason to like Kamala Harris now. If you didn't like her before, it doesn't make any sense. But I'll stress, the only thing that matters in the polls is going to be the battleground states. So we will plug it in as we do. Arizona, Nevada, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, and Georgia. They're going Trump over 270 to win. So we got all of that. We got all that. And Kamala just gets these. I don't like saying save blue, so we'll just do that. 287 Republican victory. Let's say this. Virginia's in play. And it's just it. So what does this mean for all of you sitting at home as we watch Trump's offices get burglarized and hackers try and leak information? Well, I'll tell you this about the hack. The reason for the hack on the JD Vance info is so that they would give it to Politico, and Politico would then know where Republicans fear JD Vance could be vulnerable. Perhaps it says something like, JD Vance voted for a certain policy, or that JD Vance invested in a certain company. Not out in the press cycle yet. And then the media now gets this, and they say, we know exactly what to do to hurt J.D. Vance, using Trump's own research, his campaign's research on Vance against him. It's the game they're playing. But let them play it. Because I tell you right now, at these battleground states favoring Trump, Trump is set to win. I don't see how Kamala Harris is going to win Pennsylvania right now, because Trump is up in Pennsylvania by 0.8. And the polls always have historically favored Democrats. So while people are saying the polls are fake, the polls are, no, the polls are the polls. They're always the same. They're not perfect, but just compare them to past polls. This is what people need to understand about polls, okay? You don't need to look at a poll right now to know. I don't need to look at Michigan and say, wow, people in Michigan like Kamala Harris. I need to compare the last election's results to what the polls are saying now, the last election results in polls versus what we're saying now. And you're basically doing a simple math problem. OK, so you look at it, you got the two fractions here. You got actual results, polled results. Actual results are blank and polled results here. And then you can correlate the percentage difference. And I tell you this, based on those metrics, you can claim Kamala Harris is up in the polls. But Biden's lead at this time, in 2020, same day, 7.4. And in the end, he ended up winning by only 4 points. Considering ballot harvesting or otherwise, understand, my friends, we're just looking at Donald Trump doing really well right now. Battlegrounds are what matters. Now, the big question for me, when we look at the civics polling on Kamala Harris is, and this is what gives me fear and pause, what is this? Of course, everybody knows this. Here's Kamala Harris being dramatically unfavorable and then all of a sudden favorable. Civics polling is not like these other pollsters. This shows a massive swing among a lot of people. Now, you can look at the polls and say, like Harris X or Rasmussen, and argue that their methodology is questionable. Civics sends out emails to people and asks them to fill the poll out. You could argue that Civics selects bad people. I don't know. But this is interesting. Let's take a look at Democrat voters. Democrat voters largely had a positive view of Kamala as it was at 79%. As soon as Biden drops out, she jumps to 91. Why? Honest question. What did she do? What did she bring that made you actually want to consider Kamala Harris? We jump down to Republicans. Surprisingly, she even got a bump of 2 points among Republicans. Okay, sure. Never Trumpers. Whatever. What did she do? It doesn't make any sense. Among independent voters, it's actually pronounced. What did Kamala Harris do to jump from 21 to 36? Understand politics. These are people who don't know and don't care. And it's all just one big media circus. Hence, I say, make voting harder, ladies and gentlemen. I don't want people voting on celebrity. It should not be the case that you're like, I saw her on the news. No, you should say, I know who I'm voting for and why. I tell you this. Let's get rid of ballots. When you walk in to vote, you are given a list of available positions and you are told to write in the name. That's the end of it. Make it illegal to make, or I shouldn't say you have to make it illegal, but just ban the process of pre-made ballots. Then you give anybody a universal mail-in vote. I don't care. Because they're going to be like, I don't know what to write down. And they're going to be like, write down Joe Biden. They're going to be like, I don't know. What do I write down? Do that. Changes the game dramatically. Everybody can vote, don't care, but you got to write it in. Now, what the parties will do is what they used to do in the old days. They will hand out a flyer saying, here's the list of people to vote for these positions. And then the people who actually pay attention and want to vote will vote for the names they know. And if they don't know a name, they don't write it in. I think that solves a great deal of the problem. 18 to 34-year-olds really like Kamala. Look at this. It was 56 unfavorable, 33 favorable, and it switched. Now it's 47 favorable and 46 unfavorable. Gen Z, and some millennials. Come on. Really? You've got no real reason for supporting Kamala Harris. Let's just be real. 35 to 49-year-olds, same thing, though slightly still more unfavorable. 50 to 64, all right, still a jump. It's so wild. It's absolutely wild. I bet it's among women, mind you. Among women, Kamala Harris went from 42 favorable to 52 favorable. Among men, I knew it. Among men, there was a jump from 29 to 39, a 10-point jump, but she's still largely unfavorable. I wonder if this breaks down by race as well. White people don't like her. Black and Africans do like her, comparable to Democrats. Hispanic and Latino, wow, she dramatically improved among Hispanic and Latino voters. And among other, thank you, Civics, for making me an other. I appreciate being called other. Yeah. Oh, and you can go by state, too. Well, that's something else. That's actually pretty amazing. Alabama. In Alabama, they don't like her. Let's jump down to West Virginia. Let's see what West Virginia thinks. In West Virginia, they really don't like Kamala Harris. Well, anyway, more to the point. What we're looking at, my friends, the Donald Trump campaign is being attacked in every direction. They not only tried to kill Donald Trump, but what I mean by they is someone tried to end his life who did not like him, okay? You want to talk conspiracies? We'll do that later. I'm saying the people who don't like Donald Trump are all over the place attacking Trump. One of the people who, for whatever reason, didn't like Trump was able to slip through the cracks in every imaginable way, which seemingly makes no sense, and then try and take Trump's life. Then they break into a campaign office in Virginia. Now they're hacking his campaign. There's a DDOS on his conversation with Elon Musk. Wow. They really are pulling out all the stops. I ask you this. Has there been anything on the Harris campaign or Biden campaign comparable to what we're seeing with Trump? No. Call it what you want, man. Call it what you want. Well, let's dig more into this. We have this CNN host asks J.D. Vance if he believes Kamala Harris is black. In the next segment, I want to talk to you about how the media is propping up Kamala Harris, the Time magazine cover. It's insane. And then you got to look at, we'll go over the polling again with J.D. Vance and the media praise for Kamala. They're giving her everything. That'll be it for the time being. Stick around, smash the like button. Follow me on X at Timcast. Subscribe to this channel. And we're going to, for those watching live, we'll jump to your super chats. And for the rest of you, we'll see you all at 4 p.m. We'll grab some of your super chats. And I got this, what do we have here? The, no, that's not it. Time magazine. Whoa. We'll pull the Time magazine, the reintroduction of Kamala Harris. Here we go, Liz. I wanted to pull up another one, but I think it makes more sense to pull it up in this next segment. But we'll grab your super chats as we look at this. Look at it, so ridiculous. Jeez, man. All right, let's grab some super chats from y'all. Mega Bobson says, do you still think Biden admin grant blanket amnesty? Can Trump reverse? Can Biden grant mass citizenship? If so, could Trump reverse that? The answer is they are in violation of the law at every step of the way, and they're getting away with it. The Biden administration has already forgiven student loan debt, even though the courts have told them not to do it over and over again. So at this point, I think anything can happen. It's amazing, right? All right. Let's see. Spidge B says, Tim, cautionary advice. Do what you will with it. Frequent bragging about your wealth is not good fundraising technique and a terrible management technique. Suggest you dial it back. We all know. Your employees all know. What did I say? What? You mean talking about my health? What did I say about wealth? Mesothelioma says, look into the National Popular Vote Interstate Compact. It subverts the Electoral College. Each state allocates its electors based on national popular vote. The law is dormant, but goes live once 270 electorates are secured. Indeed, they do. Indeed, they do. Tim Crespi says, to be fair, Nancy Pelosi slushes while drunk, too. Perhaps indeed. MF Damien says, while Alex Jones was in the Giant coming back to X Space and talked to Elon and everyone else, the same audio artifact was there, affected all speakers. That's funny. Like Elon Musk intentionally, or I should say inadvertently, has this slushing thing going on that's making everyone sound crazy. All right. Victor Germain says Trump sounded like he had a lisp because he was hunched over talking to his phone. Well, then he shouldn't have done that. And his team should have said, sit up and put your phone on a stand because you're sounding weird. But I think it was compression. Josh Bellamy says, I was speaking with a vet a couple months ago. He was telling me he had friends in law enforcement who were telling him the amount of crime being reported and covered is a fraction of what is being told. Indeed. However, to go back to that segment, when I was talking about that, I actually checked unreported crime stats and numbers based on, I looked up financial damages, reports. It seems relatively comparable, but crime has gone up in certain areas and down in others. So people are experiencing certain types of crime more, and they're going to then say, I'm being affected more than normal. So that's why I'm like, it's fair to say when crime goes up, you could be referring to a specific kind of crime. But I also think it's fair to point out the nuance of other crimes going down. It just means people are being impacted negatively. And you can't, the Democrats are like, no, crime is not across the board. Ignore your experiences. Ignore the guy pushed in front of the subway train. And I'm like, no, those things matter. People are worried about those specific crimes going up. I think it's fair. All right, we'll grab a couple more. We're looks like we're going to run a little rate. All right, Sparky says, Tim, a heart rate that low can put you at greater risk of death from fentanyl and heroin. Stay away from those and the like. My heart rate is that low because I don't do drugs. Exercise almost every single day. Great cardio. I do a lot of VO2 max, and recently went back to the keto diet, though that hasn't seemed to have affected anything. I periodically have days with great heart rate variability, and I think it's good to be proud of being healthy and being your best self. And I encourage everybody to take pride in eating your best and exercising and doing what you can to be healthy. I encourage proper hydration. I learned this. I got bottles of water, Icelandic. I got the plastic ones today. I try to do the glass ones, but we mix it up because some people don't care and some people do. But we try to get the glass ones. But I learned a secret. And that secret is not a secret. It's people are typically dehydrated, and you will do everything better if you got enough water. But it's not just water. That's what I was saying when I went to the hospital. This was like a year ago. I was drinking water and I felt really messed up. Like my head was throbbing. I was groggy. And I was like, what is going on, man? Like, did I get injured? I don't know what happened. I was like, maybe something's wrong. Went to the doctor and they're like, you're dehydrated. And I was like, but I'm drinking a lot of water. And they're like, you got to drink electrolyte. Okay. Because you'll eat the food, you'll drink the water, and your body's not storing the water properly or utilizing it. I was like, oh, really? And it was that simple. They were like, go buy Pedialyte and you'll be fine. And I was like, okay. And it was actually that simple. And then just way better. So since then, we got these drinks. They're called Numa. Awesome. They are a low sugar, coconut water based electrolyte sports drink. And I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan of these things. Everybody grabs them. And there's one, it's chocolate mint. And I'm like, I will never even taste that. I'm not going to go near chocolate mint. But everyone loves it. They're like, it's my favorite. And it goes the fastest. So big fan of the Numa energy drink. Shout out. We are not sponsored by them. I'm just saying we really do like it. All right. Pacamon says, I saw the picture of Trump on the call. I have the exact same plug and the lapel mic he was wearing. The Slush issue was 100% the mic. It's trash and has all sorts of quality issues. A lot of people were saying that. A lot of people were saying Pin King says UAW is suing Trump and Elon. Is that true? Should I pull that one up? UAW suing Trump. Oh, yeah, look at this. Oh, wow. Oh, no. Maybe I should pull this one up for the last segment. UAW sues Donald Trump and Elon Musk, accusing them of pushing to fire striking workers because they talked about it on the thing. All right. We got to do this. We got to talk about the media propping up Kamala Harris. And look at this. Her moment. Absolute cringe. All right, let's get it. Time magazine giving Kamala the glorious cover. And it's funny because when you look at how Time magazine has given the cover to Donald Trump, not so good. But here is a woman who has done no interviews, has offered no campaign policy positions, nothing. And they are giving her this glorious picture of her and all her supporters looking up. I got to tell you, my friends, I think Donald Trump is funny. I think he's a funny guy. Okay. There are things I don't like about Donald Trump. I think Donald Trump took bad advice. I think he's got bad people. Donald Trump attacked Kamala Harris for having AI photos of her rallies or whatever, and they're fake images. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't know what the point of it is. The question is, does it earn votes? But I will tell you this, I despise Kamala Harris. She represents nothing. She represents the degradation and degeneracy of the American Republic in every imaginable way. And I will debate this to the high heavens. The Krasensteins, famous liberal commentators, said, when I tweeted this, you know what? I should pull this up. I'm going to pull this up because it matters for this story. And I said, Trump has awful advisors or no advisors. And let's jump right to it. Okay. And here's Krasenstein, and we'll pull this up. I said Trump has awful advisors or no advisors because he highlighted this. There's a video of Kamala Harris getting out of the plane with huge crowds all waving and waiting for it in an airport hangar. It's like the first real time Democrats have offered up a candidate. I'm not surprised they have big rallies. Donald Trump claimed that they were fake AI images and they caught them because the reflection on the plane doesn't show the huge crowds. I don't think they're standing in front of the plane. I think that's a depth of field issue, most importantly. And the crowds actually way further back, but it looks like they're up to the plane. They're not. This is a mistake from Donald Trump. Brian Krasenstein says it's not his freaking advisors. It's Trump. Stop shifting the blame. It's what cultists do. Oh, I'll tell you what cultists do. Cultists run glorified Time magazine covers for a woman with no record, no campaign policy positions. The only thing she has is that she wants to not tax tips, which is Trump's campaign policy, despite the fact that she's the woman who cast a tie-breaking vote to actually tax your tips. I'll pull that one up in a second. That's what cultists do. I said, what do you think no advisors means? I talked about this yesterday, but it bears repeating in the segment. And so Krasenstein says, so you think he makes horrible decisions and then when not being advised to do otherwise, is it the man you want as president? That's weird. I do think he makes horrible decisions and we criticize him routinely. He hired crackpot Bolton for one. However, a marginally net positive presidency is preferable to cultists supporting Kamala, who was installed and has no campaign policy. What's that, Brian? Crickets. Because you're in a cult, bro. Because the left is a cult. I can sit here and give 3 hours of critique on Donald Trump's campaign, on bad decisions, on things he said I disagree with, and then still tell you why he's the right choice. Why? Because it is a wager. It is a value proposition. What does Donald Trump offer versus what are the net pros and the cons? And Donald Trump did bad things. And Donald Trump's got bad behavior and all of that stuff. And Kamala Harris exemplifies it times 10. I tell you this. They're going to come. Look at this. The reintroduction of Kamala Harris. While they're praising her across the board and acting like she's the greatest thing since sliced bread, despite being the least popular vice president ever, and then trying to attack J.D. Vance, who's barely been on the stage. Literally, like he's barely been in politics and well known. I'll tell you what a cult is. A cult makes a magazine cover like this for a woman who has nothing. No campaign policies. None. You people, these liberals, you are in a cult. Donald Trump, drone strikes, missile strikes, bad. Donald Trump working with Fauci and Birx, his actions on COVID, bad. I mostly blame the governors for everything, but that doesn't mean Trump gets a free pass. Peace agreements, crossing the DMZ into North Korea last night. When Donald Trump was talking to Elon Musk, he mentioned crossing the DMZ, and I thought that was fantastic. I'm glad he did. And I hope that was some of my influence. Because when I interviewed Donald Trump, I'm talking to everybody, these libertarians, and they're like, what are you going to ask him? And I was like, I really want to know what it was like when he crossed the DMZ with Kim Jong-un, because it was one of the most tremendous gestures of peace against a warring nation I've seen in my lifetime. And I asked Trump about that. I said that was amazing. The libertarians were like, absolutely. The libertarians love that Donald Trump did that because we want peace. So Trump did some of these really amazing things, and he's got bad behavior. I have no problem saying Trump's got a decorum issue. He needs to focus on the issues and be funny, but focus on the issues. And he can do that. He did it yesterday. He's a funny guy. Kamala Harris offers up nothing. So when they come to me and they say Trump is nasty, he's evil, he's blah, 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 and I'm like, yeah, sure. And Kamala Harris is too. And they're, no, are you kidding, man? Look at the stuff. Like Willie Brown even talks about the stuff that they were working on, if you know what I mean. Okay? She does not represent decorum in the White House. She represents putting people in prison beyond their term or holding them there for slave labor. She doesn't have a campaign position. She's not offering the American people anything. No tax on tips. Let me pull this story up. Tiebreaker vote. It's from Fair Tax. You want to talk about Kamala Harris's plan not to tax tips, which was Donald Trump's? VP Kamala Harris cast tie-breaking vote to let IRS track workers' tips so they can be taxed. On August 7th, 2022, Harris cast the tie-breaking vote to pass the Inflation Reduction Act that provided $80 billion in additional funding to the Internal Revenue Service, which then got to work cracking down on the service industry's reporting of tips so they could be taxed. President Joe Biden's White House also boasted that the Inflation Reduction Act provided $80 billion in additional funding to the IRS. In February of 2023, the IRS released a proposed revenue procedure known as the Service Industry Tip Compliance Agreement, SITCA program. The agency described SITCA as a voluntary tip reporting program between the IRS and employers in various service industries that would include monitoring of employer compliance based on actual annual tip revenue and charge tip data from an employer's point of sale system and allowance of adjustments in tipping practices from year to year. That's Kamala Harris. So when I tweet that Kamala Harris is just stealing Trump's policies, once again, the Krasensteins, they like to chime in because these guys are disingenuous. Okay. But they're prominent personalities who do engage. And so they get the traffic. I respect it. Not as many leftists will cross the aisle and engage and debate and argue with conservatives. But I tell you this, they're cultists. That's why they ran off and they never responded to what I said. Because my position is reluctant reasonableness. Is there a candidate I would prefer over Donald Trump? Oh, absolutely. I'd take Dave Smith. Dave Smith is the president we deserve. But Donald Trump is the best one we got. Donald Trump can win. Dave Smith can't. With all due respect to Dave Smith. I think Dave Smith has a lot of that X factor where he could be a president, but he doesn't have enough. And I mean, no disrespect. Like it's a weird thing to have what it takes to win an election. Donald Trump does have it. He's proven it. There are people who've had more in the past, but Donald Trump's got it. And he's got good policies and he's got good foreign policy. And although Dave disagrees with Trump on a lot of things, I think Trump is a net positive presidency who can win. And I'm a reformer, not a revolutionary. But if I was chosen by aliens and they said, you will decide who the president will be, Dave Smith, Dave, get rid of the Department of Education. Trump says he wants to get rid of the Department of Education. He's got even better policies. But my point is this. When we're being reasonable and I'm looking at Donald Trump, I'm like, he's the best president of my lifetime. That doesn't mean it doesn't mean he's the greatest. Okay. I think he's great in a lot of ways. Absolutely. Foreign policy was the greatest. Absolutely. Across the board, he did great. He was a net positive presidency. Far from perfect. A perfect presidency is going to end the wars overnight. And I mean that figuratively. They're going to end the wars to the best of their abilities with drawdowns and withdrawals. They're going to bolster American defenses. They're going to take care of our veterans. They're going to deal with, there should be no homeless veterans, period. Whether it's mental health needs or financial assistance, whatever it may be. They're going to secure our border. They're going to give us better trade agreements. I think we got a lot of people who could do a better job of that. But you know what? The question is, who can also win? That's Trump, for a variety of reasons. And Trump can also be strong enough on the international stage to prevent more war because he's kind of crazy. So Trump gives us that net positive. Kamala, nothing. She's the VP right now. So when she says these insane things, that she's going to lower inflation or take on big pharma, I'm like, why aren't you doing it now, lady? Which let me pull up this tweet. Tweet that it's from Time Magazine, where here we go. Kamala Harris, Vice President Kamala Harris, said that if she's elected, she will take on big pharma and other big corporations.
When I was Attorney General, I went after price-fixing schemes. And when I am president, I will continue that work to bring down prices. I will take on big corporations that engage in illegal price gouging, corporate landlords that unfairly raise rents on working families, and take on big pharma and cap the cost of prescription drugs for all Americans.
That's right. Just not right now. She wants you to suffer a little bit. Is that it? It's like blackmail. You could do it. You're the vice president. Joe Biden's right there. Joe Biden wants you to win. You could literally say, Joe, let's get the job done right now for the American people and prove to them why they should vote for me. Instead, she's like, nah, I want you to suffer a little bit. Come on. I want you to stew and feel the pain. And then I want you to beg me to fix it. That's the Kamala Harris campaign. So, bravo. In the meantime, for J.D. Vance, who is the other VP candidate, and this is the craziest thing, like the attacks on J.D. Vance are the stupidest things imaginable. He's weird. I don't know what you're talking about, okay? You're trying to sway female voters because you want them to, like, fall in line and be socially acceptable. Okay, whatever. They may still vote J.D. Vance in private, I guess. Look at those stunning blue eyes. But J.D. Vance is such a normie dude. Like, I'm sorry, man. He's like, he doesn't do anything. You know what I mean? Like, he's not done anything. He speaks well. He did a lot of great interviews. And they're attacking him relentlessly. And I'm just like, I don't know what you're attacking him over. Honestly, I have no idea what you're attacking this guy over. CNN host asks J.D. Vance if he believes Kamala Harris is black. What? Yes, I don't care. Donald, here we go.
One last question.
Please.
And I can't believe I have to ask you this, but I do, because Donald Trump has been attacking Kamala Harris's racial identity.
He has not been, but ask your question.
Well, he questioned her racial identity. He said a number of years ago she happened to turn black. Her father is Jamaican. Do you believe Kamala Harris is black?
I believe that Kamala Harris is whatever she says she is, but I believe importantly that President Trump is right that she's a chameleon. She pretends to be one thing in front of one audience. She pretends to be something different in front of another audience. Look, Dana, she's not running a political campaign. She's running a movie.
Oh, yeah.
She only speaks to voters behind a teleprompter. Everything is scripted. She doesn't have her policy positions out there. She hasn't answered why she wanted to ban fracking, but now she doesn't. She wanted to fund police, but now she doesn't. She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
J.D. Vance is so good at this. That's why I'm like, what are they attacking him on? Well, that's the reality, my friends. They have to attack him on something. Patriarchy, that's the new one. Vanity Fair says J.D. Vance tried to call the Democrats weird. Trump's running mate may not have charmed many voters during a sweep on the Sunday shows. They're just saying this because this is the game. Why is she a chameleon? I'll tell you. Kamala Harris is is making a gambit. They sat down and they said, look, let's operate under the assumption that people are as dumb can be. You can say whatever you want, and they'll choose to believe what they want to believe. So Kamala Harris goes out and says, defund the police. Don't defund the police. She comes out and says, we need immigration reform to allow these people in. Then she says, I'm going to get tough on the border. Why? Because they know Democrats will believe what they choose to believe instead of what's true. And what's true is what J.D. Vance is saying, that she's going to say whatever she has to say. They don't care. That's why she has no campaign positions on her website, because she doesn't need them. She doesn't want them on her. This is exactly it. The reason why Kamala's policies are not on her website is because she doesn't want anyone to know what her positions are. She wants to be able to say all positions on tape, on camera. And then one Democrat will be like, look at this video of Kamala saying open the borders. Then another Democrat will be like, well, here's a video of her saying close the borders. And whichever one they support, they'll cheer for. Then when you, the Republican, go, she's for open borders, you go, no, she's not. Or they'll say, good, I'm glad. There's nothing you can do because she said it all. That's what Kamala's doing. In the meantime, they're attacking Donald Trump and J.D. Vance and calling him weird. And they're giving her this. Vomitus. Wow. Amazing, isn't it? I'm going to wrap it up there, my friends. Next segment is coming up at 6 p.m. This breaking news we just got sent to us by our trusty viewers here in the Super Chat. We'll talk about Donald Trump and Elon Musk being sued as part of their, due to some of their conversation. So smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. Follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast, and we will see you on the next segment at 6 p.m. And for everybody else, we will grab your super chats, just a couple of them. And I'm wondering if there's any other sources on this lawsuit. UAW. Oh, wow. Bloomberg Law News. This is getting spicy, isn't it? That's a short story. They don't got much to add to that. Federal labor charges. Oh, we got the actual press release. We'll add that to the mix. All right. Noah Sanders says they have PTSD, post-Trump stress disorder. Ha ha. Sparky says electrolytes. It's what plants crave. It's actually salts, and it will salt the earth. Rich says Krasenstein bros are just trying to make sure nobody finds out they kiss each other. LOL. I don't need that. I don't think they can withstand scrutiny. We've had them on the show before, and they were much more demure. Online, they're very aggressive, but I do believe they're evil because I know they're smarter than they let on because I've talked to them. They've been on I think we had them on, what we had them on? Culture War podcast, I think. And so I'd love to have them again, actually, because they will do the show, but they cannot stand up to scrutiny. The questions are really simple. I am not an unreasonable person. You can criticize Donald Trump. You come to me and say, Donald Trump did this thing. And I'll say, oh, first, let me make sure that's actually happened. He did. Wow, that's not good. And they say, yeah, did you know he also did this other thing? And I'll be like, wow, that's bad too. So Donald Trump hires John Bolton, fires 59 Tomahawk missiles into Syria. For what reason, we don't know, because the media praise him for it. He signs off on a commando raid in Yemen at the behest of Saudi Arabia. He's selling Saudi Arabia mass weapons for which they're using in Yemen, creating one of the greatest humanitarian crises we've ever seen with 100,000 plus dead. Donald Trump's support for these groups for the profit of the United States, they are bad. Yeah. I couldn't have said it better myself. Wait, I literally did just say it. But I'm saying if you came to me and said that, I'd say, yeah, wow. You want to talk about Joe Biden? You want to talk about Barack Obama? You want to talk about George W. Bush? Oh, boy, let me open that door. So what do I get to do? What am I thinking about? I am not a revolutionary. I'm a reformer. I want to win what I can win, and I want to win it now. Donald Trump, Abraham Accords, I'm a fan. Donald Trump crossing into the DMZ in North Korea, one of the greatest gestures of peace in the history of this country. We are at war with North Korea. Trump had no security. Incredible stuff. Donald Trump securing our borders, trying to. Not perfect, trying to. Getting new investments into Michigan, $3 billion in the auto industry, great. Getting rid of TPP, great. I say, you know what? These are marginal victories along with bad things. Setting a timeline for Afghan withdrawal was good. Trying to get our troops out of Syria was good. I like all of it. So what do I say? Look, I can agree with you on all of these bad things that Donald Trump did. Bad people he was hiring. Ray, that heads of intelligence agency that he put in charge that betrayed him, Bolton, who betrayed him. Yeah, he made those mistakes. Not good. He didn't pardon Julian Assange. Or he was the president ordering the extradition of Julian Assange. Bad. But you know what? Trump tells you who he is. He tells you what he wants to do. Trump comes out and outright says, we're selling weapons to the Saudis. It's great for the economy. And I'm like, I'll take it. He increases drone strikes, gets rid of the transparency. Not good, but it's because he's drawing down. I say the foreign policy was a net positive. No new wars. I will take it. Kamala Harris represents the Biden administration. The Biden administration represents the Obama administration. The recurring theme of uniparty garbage war. War in Ukraine, war in the Red Sea, war in the Middle East. Israel and Iran are about to light up. Under the leadership of these people, our foreign policy has been a nightmare. And the executive branch is largely about our foreign policy. The executive branch is not about COVID. It's not about what states should do. We have the 9th and 10th Amendments here. When you're voting for a president, largely what you're voting for is not domestic agenda, it's foreign agenda. And Donald Trump said, no new wars, I will take it. Anyway. Boosted Yogi says, I figured it out. Kamala's supposed to post her campaign policies this week, so she hired someone to break into Trump's Virginia headquarters to get in policies. That's a good one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump to this next story. Following the conversation between Elon Musk and Donald Trump, we got breaking news that the UAW will be suing Donald Trump and Elon, accusing them of pushing to fire striking workers. This story broke while we were live on the morning show, and one of our super chatters sent it in. So if you ever check out the show, Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m., you can be a part of this too. But check this out. Let's read. They say the United Auto Workers Union has filed complaints against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, alleging the two advocated for firing striking workers. So what? The former president and the owner of X held a conversation on Musk's platform. This we know. At one point, Trump and Musk were talking about workers who go on strike for better wages. Trump said, if workers go on strike and you say that's okay, you're all gone, so everyone is gone. Under federal law, a company cannot fire its employees if they are on strike, but you don't got to pay them. So there you go. The unfair labor practices charged were filed with the National Labor Relations Board. The UAW said Tuesday, just hours after the discussion, more than 1 million people tuned into the session. Quote, when we say Donald Trump is a scab, this is what we mean. When we say Trump stands against everything our union stands for, this is what we mean, said UAW President Shawn Fain in a news release. Musk himself has been outspoken against unions, criticizing them for creating inequality among employees. Tesla, which is also owned by Musk, is the only auto manufacturer in the U.S. whose workers are not unionized. Bravo, Tesla. Shout out to the workers. While multiple efforts to unionize employees at the company have been made, none have been successful. However, the company has been sued for implementing company policies that prevent workers from unionizing. In filing complaint with Musk and Trump, UAW leadership is escalating its criticism of both men. President Fain has publicly criticized both in recent appearances, including at a Democratic rally attended by Kamala Harris and Tim Walz last week. Let me tell you my thoughts. We have this press release here, which we'll read from UAW directly, filing labor charges against Donald Trump and Elon Musk for attempting to intimidate and threaten their workers. Let me tell you, my friends, I don't care if someone unionizes. I really don't care. If you want to do it, go through the process, do it. It doesn't mean anything to me at all, right? What I don't like about unions is that they don't do what unions are supposed to do. Collective bargaining is incredible. Employees getting together and saying, hey, guys, we should all go on strike unless the company meets our demands. I think that is awesome. Collective power, stand up against those. Big fish fighting against a little fish fighting against a big fish. All that stuff's fantastic. That being said, unions don't do these things. That's my problem with unions. They are not protecting the workers. I have been in 2 different unions, and one was basically meaningless. I worked at a grocery store, was in a union, and they made me join the union. I made something like $40 a day. So paying union dues when I was 18, trying to make money, I'm like, this is insane. How am I supposed to? I'm working every day. Terrible job, stupid job, treated like garbage, and I had to be in the union. Then I got a job I was a part of the Transport Workers Union when I worked for O'Hare, and they did nothing. They did nothing for me. Because of the union, I was unable to actually advance and try and make a career for myself. So when I was always on time, was never late, passed probation, I got a promotion to be an acting crew chief. It's the step before a full crew chief. So the way it works is you're a ramp agent. You load the bags. You're loading about 5 planes per day. We were working for a regional airline, which are regional jets, Embraers, and CRJs. So about 5 per day, sometimes 4. Not the hardest job in the world. You sit around for about an hour. Your plane comes in. You go work. You wait for 20 or 30 minutes while the plane starts boarding, and then you load the plane back up. Well, I did my job great. Always got everything done. And I said, I am doing a way better job. A lot of these people have complaints. They're lazy. They're burning bags when bags aren't getting, when a bag isn't properly loaded on the plane and the plane leaves and the bag's left behind. It's called the burn bag. I never had those problems. And I said, I think I deserve a raise. I go to the supervisor and I ask him, I was like, if I'm doing really well and I'm like working as hard as I can, like what can I do to get a raise? And he goes, talk to the rep. And I was like, okay. So I go to the union rep and I say, what do I do to get a raise? Contract negotiations aren't till next year. And I'm like, no. Like, I want a raise. I want more money. Everyone else is kind of just like going through the motions, but I'm trying to work really hard to get ahead. And they go, that's not how it works. In this union, I can't speak for all of them. That's not how it works. Contract negotiations happen and they will determine whether or not you are allowed to get ahead collectively. And then I'm like, wait, hold on. So I'm busted. So I have no reason to bust my ass. Okay. All right. I'm going to play video games. Well, 6 months in, before I even got out of probation for the company, they offered up a promotions test, which I was allowed to take. My brother and I both passed. Pretty easy. Tons of other employees couldn't do it. We thought it was easy. Maybe we were overqualified. Instantly, this instantly gave us a promotion, what's called acting crew chief, which I think gave us an extra $1 per hour. What this meant was, as an acting crew chief, if a crew chief, they run a zone room, so they have 10 to 15 people underneath them. If any of them called off or wanted to give away a work day, we were allowed to accept it. But we weren't actually crew chiefs, meaning every year, I think it was every year, they would allow people to pick their positions as a ramp agent. There's de-icing. That was fun. You get up in a cherry picker. It's a blizzard in Chicago, and you're blasting the planes with de-icing fluid, and you're drenched. It's kind of gross, but it's fun. And people like de-icing because it didn't snow all that often, so you sat around all day doing nothing until it was time to leave. That was a good position, all based on seniority. If you were there for a long time, you got to choose the best job. Well, here's how it works. As an acting crew chief, the job comes up, and they say, we have 12 crew chief positions available and 30 crew chiefs. By seniority, the acting crew chief's never going to get that. So maybe after 10 years of working there, I might actually get to be a full crew chief consistently. De-icing, would be fun. Couldn't get ahead. Nobody wanted to work hard. So I am not a fan, right? That's my personal story. I'm not a fan of how these unions operate. That being said, I actually don't care. Trump saying to fire them if they're on strike, I think you don't need to do that. I think it's stupid that you can't fire people if they're not working, but you don't got to pay them. While they're not working, you hire somebody else. And then they say, oh, you're a scab for doing that. I don't care. That's ridiculous. Anybody who wants to do the job is allowed to do the job. Welcome to the marketplace. I certainly think it's a problem that someone might try to undercut collective bargaining or whatever. But if you've got people who disagree with you, that's called democracy. If you work at there was like some strike in Chicago at a hotel that was going on for decades, and the company just said, go strike, bye. And like 20 years later, they were still on strike. And they're like, you're never going to win because other people don't agree. You go on strike and say, I deserve these things. Okay. So we'll hire people to do your job while you're striking. You do whatever you want and you can come back as soon as, whatever. And then you never do because those other people are willing to work for the same conditions and they're grateful. Welcome to the marketplace. They say this. After significant technical delays on X, formerly Twitter, Trump and Musk had a rambling, disorganized conversation. That's silly. In which they advocated for the illegal firing of striking workers. I mean, I look at what you do, Trump told Musk. You walk and you say, you want to quit? Then go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, that's okay, you're all gone. You're all gone. So every one of you is gone. Under federal law, workers cannot be fired for going on strike, and threatening to do so is illegal. Who did Trump threaten? Trump didn't threaten any of his employees. Neither did Elon Musk. When we say Trump is a scam, it's what we mean. Well, this is what we mean. When we say Trump stands against everything our union stands for, it's what we mean. Donald Trump will always side against workers standing up for themselves. And he will always side with billionaires like Elon Musk, who is contributing $45 million a month to Super PAC. Well, Musk says he's not. Both Trump and Musk want working class people to sit down and shut up. And they laugh about it openly. It's disgusting, illegal, and totally predictable from these two clowns. You're suing them because Trump said, you say, okay, you're gone. You're all gone. He didn't even literally say firing, according to this quote. Gone could just mean you're out striking and they're going to hire somebody else. What a silly thing to sue somebody over, to be completely honest. Suing for speech. And they're not even talking about anyone specifically. If Trump said his employees, then he's like, if Trump came out and said, I got employees and they're on strike, so I just say, you get out of here, you can't come back, you're fired. Then those employees could sue, right? If he actually fired them. That's so stupid. The idea that these unions would try and fire someone on a podcast or a conversation for saying this is how it should be is stupid. But I despise these unions. I think the UAW is crooked. They're all crooked. You know what I want? I want collective bargaining. I like the idea that you can't fire people who are trying to form a union. I do. I don't agree with Trump, but I despise the unions because of what they've become. The idea of collective bargaining and going on strike to me is incredible. And I think everybody should do it. If you're not getting what you need, if you are being mistreated, you should be allowed to band with other workers and say, we have all agreed that the company should do it and negotiation should happen. I'll tell you what happens. I remember when Fusion, the ABC Univision company, said they were going on strike. Or not on strike. What was it? Was it a strike? No, they're joining a union. I went to my friend and said, go to the boss right now and tell him you don't want to be a part of the union. You want to transfer to whatever position you can at any part of this company or Univision or ABC now, and tell them that or you will be fired. And they were like, no, what? We're going to get more money. And I said, Fusion doesn't make money. You are operating off of investment and then demanding a larger chunk of someone else's money when you are not doing anything. Oh, they didn't want to listen. 300 plus people were terminated because you know what they did? They just shut the company down. So you can't fire people, but you can shut the company down. If a company is operating off investment or at a loss, and then you go on strike or join a union, don't be surprised when the boss says, okay, company's gone. Everyone's being laid off, which is illegal, because the company no longer exists. You can't force a company to keep existing. Bye-bye. I warned him. You cannot go on strike demanding things that don't exist. It's just an impossibility. And so the company will shut down. And you'll get into these ridiculous lawsuits, and this one is ridiculous, but how stupid. But it is what it is, my friends. It's the nature of politics right now. I think the real reason they're doing this is for political reasons to attack Donald Trump. But I'll leave it there. Next segment is coming up tonight at 8 p.m. over at youtube.com/TimcastIRL. We will see you all there. Smash the like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with your friends. And I will also say, follow me on X and Instagram at Timcast. And for those that are still watching live, we'll grab a couple super chats before we sign off. But the rest, we'll see at 8 p.m. Let's go. Greg Carr says, Tim, you should try Jocko Hydration. Well, I will tell you this. The best protein powder I have ever had is Jocko Milk. Not sponsored by them. Y'all should get Jocko Milk. It tastes the best. It's got the best ingredients. Jocko knows what he's doing, and it is really the best. You know, my favorite thing is, to be completely honest, this is what I do. I take some coconut milk, because coconut fat is very good for you. I did coconut milk, some half and half, get a little bit of fat in there, right? Then I did a scoop of chocolate peanut butter Jocko Milk. I think that's what it's called. And a shot of espresso. It is delicious. Great breakfast. It's like a peanut butter mocha shake for breakfast. And some eggs. Chicken City brand eggs, mind you. The best brand eggs you can get with some first press, cold press olive oil. Perfect. But shout out to Jocko, man. That dude makes the best stuff. No joke. I do like a lot of the Onnit stuff, but I think the Onnit protein we have has Splenda. I could be wrong. I don't want to rag on Onnit. I like Onnit too. The Alpha Brain stuff. Shout out to Joe Rogan, although I think he did sell it. We'll grab one more here before we begin the sign off, my friends. Lucky Lane says the UAW supporting socialism is fundamentally wrong. Sean Fain must be wearing a tampon. Michigander here, and most people here support Trump. Don't let the media fool anyone. Yeah. Riley Gerald says, thanks for reading my Super Chat Friday on IRL. My family stored a few sales from it, so I'm extending code TIM. Happy to be a Timcast member in this culture war. Fight, fight, fight. Hey, shout out. Very cool, man. I always tell people, look, we can't read every single Super Chat, but the best way to, like, I'll put it this way. If you Super Chat something that promotes your business and I end up reading it because I read many, it works out for a lot of people. Other people just like sponsor the show outright. One thing we may end up doing is actually doing, you know, on IRL, we're doing a sponsorship from My Pillow because we're fans of Mike Lindell and I like My Pillow, and it's you know, My Pillow's funding freedom. But for the morning show, we actually have a bunch of people who want to sponsor the opening morning show, which could be great for us because your revenue is good. It means more expansion and everything. So, my friends, smash that like button, subscribe to this channel, share the show with all your friends, as I said. We're going to be back tonight at 8 p.m. In the meantime, I will get to other works that we have throughout the day. And, man, crazy last night, you know. History in the making. And we'll see where we go with all of this. Follow me on X at Timcast and follow me on Instagram. If you're not following me on Instagram, follow me on Instagram. I post stuff there. All right, everybody. Thanks for hanging out, and we will see you all tonight at 8 p.m.